Welcome to another episode of Dad and This Shit. It's your boy Chocolate Dad.
It's your boy Saya, aka Saya.
It's your boy Styles.
It's your boy 9-5. Appreciate everybody for tuning
is
in.
your boy before everybody's name?
I don't know.
What
It
is
just
that?
happened that way.
I don't know. It just happened.
It just flow. It just flow.
It
Sound
It's
good.
your boy Tahoe. You know what I mean?
It just happens
Sound
to be
good.
that, man. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. And as we can see, we got a dope guest in the building. We got the man Tahoe, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Go ahead and reintroduce yourself to the people who might not
I
know,
already
man.
said it's your boy Tahoe from
It's your boy
Tahoe.
Tahoe.
You know what I mean? Hard and soft. I'm happy to be here, Dad and this shit. This is special. So I'm excited to see where y'all take us today. What's up, man? How y'all doing?
We trying to
We
take
cool.
it to the moon, for real.
Fuck time.
We trying to take this shit out this world.
That's a fact, man. Nah, everything's cool though. You already know what's coming up, man. Jack's turning 1.
Yes.
You ready to
The
turn one?
year flew by, man. It's kind of scary. I ain't
Definitely.
gonna hold you. It's fucking scary to I was looking at pictures. I'm putting like a video collage thing together for him. And I'm like,
the
yo, for
most.
what he looked like,
Doing the most. Go ahead, continue.
dragging it, bro.
Yeah, you
Fucking
are.
out buddy over here.
Yo, y'all embarrassing me though. Like y'all really putting me to shame.
Why?
Why?
Cause
Shameless.
you was a dad. He's the only one, and you a dad already. It took me a long time to actually jump into that role because I was so busy doing me and in the street. And then I came up. I didn't have a dad. My mom did everything. So I remember when my baby mother, when I was still living with my son's mother, and the baby be crying, I put the pillow on my head like
Damn.
Oh,
Don't get
and
me
she get up. You know what I mean?
so
got-
shameless.
I have three.
Three?
I have three that I know of. Three. Yeah.
Boys?
He said they
They
know.
know I threw that in there.
My daughter's 20. My daughter's 20 and my sons are turning 14 next month.
That's scary. 20, yo. I can't even imagine.
How
bro.
old is the
20?
third one? I just two.
Twins. My
They're
boys
twins.
are
Oh,
Oh,
boys. Oh, okay.
You know, we know Steve Math ain't too good.
No, I didn't hear him say. You heard him say 20?
Yeah, I did. That's why I
Damn,
did.
fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Nah,
you know, and I really, even when my sons, me and my son's mom broke up, I didn't latch on to daddy.
Dad mode.
I didn't. I
Because
was
you
so
were just
mad at
disconnected
her.
from the beginning.
I was, but I mean, I was there. But once I left her, for one, I was just coming home from prison, you know, and I was trying to get my life together. I was trying to get back in with my daughter, right? I wasn't a dad before that, but something happened when I was up north when I was like, yo, I can't have her come back here. If she gonna want somebody that's like her father, I gotta change because I can't. She came one time. And I seen the COs walking around her, and she, you know, she was like 5 years old. She just, you know, and I'm just sitting there like this, my shoulders is bulky and all that, and I'm just looking at it, and I'm like, "The fuck am I doing? Like,
Nah, it's not it right here.
how am I have her up here?" It was almost, I was ashamed, right? Because you got niggas all over the place, the COs walking around. My mother's bringing her mom, ain't even bring my mother, so I got my mom's here and my daughter here, and I'm just looking,
Right, because
I'm
you got to
just
be a
sitting
certain
there like-
way, and she's seen that.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because, like I was saying before, like, so it's scary to see how fast they grow up, right? And I'm just watching him. I'm just like even stuff that he like does like just today. You know what I'm saying? Like his sister said something to me. He turned around like no. Like he knows to tell her no. I don't want that shit.
Smart.
So I'm thinking in my brain like, yo, like that's only 1 year. So now, like you said, you got a 20-year-old, and my daughter's 14. I'm just looking. I'm just like, yo, like, son, this shit is scary how quick they grow up. But like,
anybody got daughters?
yeah, I have a daughter.
The only one that daughter.
Thank God I don't have one yet.
Yeah.
I do want a daughter though, because I feel like that
Yeah.
type of love is unmatched. I mean, I don't know. I never had a daughter, but I just watching it. I kind of.
I mean,
like
in the very
it is.
beginning, it's kind of it's not really different because your child just loves you. But as your daughters get older, you do get that nurturing vibe. And you like I came from work this morning, and so she's home. She's at school, homeschools at home or whatever. But she'll come in the room, check on me. You know what I'm saying? Like little boys, the young teenagers, they probably be like, "Yo, this nigga's here. I'm good." But she'll like peek in, like, "You alright? You good? You need
How old is
anything
she?
or whatever?" She's 14.
Nice.
14 going on 20, and I'm ready to fucking lose it, bro. But
So
what
you already know what's coming. It's
Yeah.
there already?
listen?
No
I'm
boyfriends
ready.
and
I'm
shit
ready
like
for
that?
war. I'm ready for war.
Got a boyfriend yet?
Nah, fuck out of here. I don't play that.
Yeah, I need somebody to
That's
check
I
in
was
on
so
me.
I was so because mind you,
You don't know yet.
she not because she started high school this year, but the pandemic and everything,
she
so
had a
she's been
boyfriend
home.
already?
No.
She had a boyfriend already?
No.
So she's 14. She's had a crush on women.
No. She's had crush, not like a boyfriend, like we know type of vibe or whatever.
She ain't bring him home to you, nigga.
Of course the fuck not. So give me some quick story, right? So so when she was in 8th grade, she was in 8th grade. She was in the dance squad. Listen, don't get me started. I don't play that shit.
Some niggas told me you had a boyfriend.
I don't know.
So the school that she used to go to, right? So she was on Putnam, up the block from where our mans used to stay. So when we had the block party, whatever, right? So she came. I was like, yo, you see your schools right there? I see all 200 of these niggas. Play me if you want to. Tell them no motherfuckers what's up. See what's gonna happen. We gonna walk right down the block. And she like, for real? I said, watch me. So we showed up to her. She was on the dance team and they had like a basketball game. So halftime they dance or whatever the case may be. I made sure I purposely showed up late, pulled up, looking real red North Face gooned out. And they're like, who the fuck is this nigga here for? And when she was
red
done,
North Face gooned out.
He got the pistol on him.
He got a Scully on too. Like, yeah, nigga, I'm here.
But there's certain things that you got to move a little differently when you have daughters. Like you got to make sure little niggas outside understand like who a pops
don't
is.
Play with her.
Shit. Don't fucking play with me because I'll beat your ass. I'm gonna tell your dad come outside to him. He gonna get work. Pause. But what you mentioned before, right? So having spent time in prison and then watching, your daughter have to come see you and then now got twin boys, right? Like when you came home and you said you had to change, right? What was your biggest fear as a father? Like what scared you the most?
That my daughter wouldn't love me. That my kids wouldn't love me. That's always been probably my biggest fear. Is that because you could do anything with anybody else, but you can't get that back. You get one shot with these people that's yours, that's your body, that's your, and if you fuck that up, because I'm not gonna say I don't love my dad, but there's a level of respect that's gone from how he handled me when I was young.
Right.
I will always look and say, you never seen me dunk. I used to be nice, nigga. Right? I had a certain amount of respect from everybody, and I would look and you would never be there. That's something you can't get that. You know what I mean? I don't know your friends. I wanted to be there when you was married. Like when I used to look for you. And it's funny because I was saying this on Twitter the other day. Somebody said when he was talking about Nick Cannon and all his kids and all that. And I was like, yo, shit. Because everybody's like, Nick Cannon kids is going to miss out because they ain't all going to be able to have him in his life because he got moms over everywhere, all this, that, and the other. But they saying that basically he's spread too thin with having kids everywhere rather than saying you being able. That's true.
Check out Lil Boosie.
He could have a little.
He got fucking money. He could buy a house and put them all in one house.
That's what I was saying.
Like Lil Boosie.
So I was saying they all right. So I was saying that shit. He could just buy a mansion and have everybody have their own wing.
That's it.
Right? And they be living fine.
He's fucking Nick Cannon.
The question I asked was, would you rather have had your dad when you was little or have a dad that was a millionaire and you a millionaire because he's a millionaire? Like you literally set for life. And most people was like, fuck that nigga. I don't care about a dad. I had a dad anyway. Give me the money. But then somebody reminded me, was like, yo, when you're little, you don't understand money.
At all.
That's a fact.
All you care about is when your moms comes walking in the house, or when you see your dad pull up. You're like, Mom, you don't care how much of a deadbeat this nigga is. That's your superhero when he pull up.
Exactly.
You jumping in the back seat. Where we going?
That is so true. Because even y'all know, like we come home and the little ones just want to run and hang with you. Like they don't care about you. When we talked about it in the previous episode, like, they don't give a fuck what your job was. They don't give a fuck what you was doing outside. They don't care about none of that shit. They're just like, yo, like that's my dad. I'm happy to be there and all that kind of stuff. Especially
money can't buy happiness and love.
It just makes things easier to do. But you like you said, like this, I'm sure there's kids whose parents is millionaires from young, 16 years old, getting Ferraris and all that kind of shit. They're like, I fucking hate this nigga.
I'll walk in the door now, and like as soon as I walk the door, like I don't even see my son because
you hear him.
See the steps, Ta-da! And then he comes to the top of the steps.
He had a little pitter patters,
and then he look at me. Ta-da! And that's it.
It's funny too because I have my boys. I have a 14-year-old and 10-year-old, and then like my 10-year-old, he's real attached to me. So I remember one time I just went to the mall with him, and as I'm walking in the mall, for some reason, like recently, he starts being real. Like I'm walking, he grabs me, he put my arm around him. He's grabbing whatever he is, he's hooking his arm with me. He's grabbing my arm, whatever like that. And then I was talking to my cousin. I'm like, yo, I'm trying to kind of figure out why is he doing that. Like he's always been close, but it's just been little. Like he's trying to be in under me now. Like
it's in the mall.
Yeah,
he probably wasn't trying to get robbed.
Nah.
Go ahead.
But even he's out and about, could be in the crib, he was watching TV, he's under me. Like, you know, he'll go, you want something to drink, whatever like that, he's supposed to be under. And my cousin was saying to me, he was just like, you know what's funny? He's like, I didn't have that situation with my father. He's just like, but yo, like, he's looking at you as a hero now. Like, in a sense, he's like, yo, you the man. You know, you the first man he knows, so you
the
hero
coolest shit on the planet.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're the coolest. Yeah. And I remember my cousin was saying, he's like, yo, I just seen my father drive fast. He was like, yo, like, nobody can drive fast as my dad type of situation.
That's
so I'm seeing him now, even the thing like, you know, going out, I think when we did that event when we went to
the coffee
cafe,
house?
yeah. And they there, and I'm seeing him.
He's like right in the picture.
Yeah, he's sneaking in the picture. He's looking at us on the screen and stuff like that. Even that day, I see how he was moving a little bit different because he's just watching dad is just doing dad and shit, basically. Like, you just see me out and about. So I didn't really put two and two together because, like, I didn't have that with my father. I wanted it. My father would have been around, but my father, like, I guess, I don't know. I don't want to say the stereotype, like the old West Indian type of pops, because I had friends who had West Indian fathers and they like us in a sense. But like my pops, he was real cold in a sense to a certain degree. I don't have that, like you said, the basketball games or that the reassurance in the sense that I try to put in my kid. But I didn't realize that the same, like I'm giving my son what I wanted and I'm seeing it in return, like that little thing of just being under me. Even my mom be laughing. She's like, you act like you spit that kid out yourself. Like he's so stuck to me.
Technically
let me ask
did.
a question now for everybody, right?
But let me say real quick before you say that.
Yeah,
hold on. It's crazy because a lot of us look at the situation you had where your father don't give you that, and you either become just like him, or he's an example of what you don't want to be.
And it's funny.
That's like his slogan.
Yeah, because I mean it's not really mine, but I heard.
But I mean that's kind of what you say here.
But somebody said to me, it was just like you don't you try not to. Don't try not to be like your father, but be everything you wish he was to you.
I said that to you.
Huh?
I said that to you.
Yeah, but it's like, but the reality is, I realized that because it's almost that thing like you put out negative, you get it. So like, trying not to be like somebody is also putting out the same negative too.
Yeah, definitely.
But if you just kind of put more positive into it, just saying that I want that reassurance, so I instill that in my kid. I want my son in a sense. I want him to look up to me in a sense. So you make sure that you give him something to look up to, and it just naturally happens.
All right, so like beings like. Most of our fathers in here, probably not most, but a few in here, that we had that fear of the fathers not being around and things of that nature, right? Do you think us being the fathers now, that fear of that letdown, it's kind of trauma us or hurt us to like be better fathers or like try, and that made us want to be active, like want to not make those mistakes, and like why you think that fear, and if you did have that fear, like. What ways you use to go around that fear to not follow the footsteps, kind of?
So me personally, I didn't have like Chris said, the best relationship with my dad. Maybe partly is because he is West Indian. As I got older, our bond definitely became closer because now we could talk about same shit. We watch basketball. I could talk about basketball. We could sit there and watch basketball together. Like he watches, I could get him a watch and bond over stuff like that. Growing up, I ain't have shit, so there was nothing I really could offer him. He's out there bringing home the bacon. Literally, like he was working 24/7. I think that's mainly why our relationship wasn't as close because my dad was out of the house early in the morning, came back home late, and that was just. I mean, he was an amazing father because, we had a roof over our head. He did what he had to do as a father. But I try not to think about, him being my father or think about anybody else's father I want to create my own story. I want to be the best me. You know what I'm saying? I want to be the best. I want my son to be able to say his father's different from everybody else's father. I don't want to be compared to no other father. Yeah. I want to have that type of relationship with him where it's like, my dad to do that's my only dad to do that. Only my dad. Yeah. Just like I feel like the same way your son look at you. Yeah. I want to be able to just build that on my own without even mimiking anybody else.
I think one of the fears that I have as a father is something that I like. I like to be in control of my environment, right? Like I try to put things in place where like if something fails, like I have fail safes in place or whatever, right? But generally speaking in life, like you can't really control a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Like we can have a great time here and I can walk out and I'm crossing the street, falling, like I hit by a bus, God forbid. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain things I can't control. So like my biggest fear is making sure that I don't ever allow myself to be put in a position that'll take me away from my family. You know, like I've walked away from a lot of situations that would have gone extremely left.
Shit.
But I'm like,
Tell me about it.
is it better that like I beat this motherfucker up, or I make sure like, you know what, it is what it is. I'm gonna make it home to my family. And even I take that same mentality, like whether I'm at work, whether I'm out and about or whatever, because it's like I was very fortunate that I had a fantastic father, right? Like my father's to the point, like what he did for occupation, he did not have to do that shit. He could have decided to go and what he went to school for and study and being a mechanic and been great at it. But he was like, yo, I know what this paycheck is gonna take care of my family, pay a mortgage and take care of my family. I'll keep doing this for 30 years. And he didn't have to do that shit. He could have said, yo, fuck this. I'll go back to school, do what I gotta do, and make mad money. But he would rather have made sure that he hated babysitters. We didn't have babysitters. Like, you know what I'm saying? Unless it was family. He wanted to make sure like he was home every night and made us dinner. Cause my mom was either working 12 hours, or she was in nursing school. He wanted to make sure that like if he took us to the park, like he's there keeping an eye on us, you know? So I look at those same things and I say, if he wasn't there, like what could have happened to us? And that's why like I make very conscious decisions. Like if I'm around certain places or environments, I might be like, yo, you know what? I'll probably just pull out, pause, and like, or go home. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna leave. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna Jesus Christ. But I'm gonna leave. Like I'd rather leave the environment that I'm in, because I feel like, you know, you could get sometimes you get that spidey sense as a man, like shit feel like it's gonna go a little crazy right here. I'd rather just go home. You know what I'm saying? And that for me is my biggest fear. Like I don't want to ever be in a position where somebody takes me away from my family.
You know,
I don't want to let anybody have that kind of power over taking those decisions away from me.
Y'all been speaking about your fathers and shit, and it's crazy. I'm sitting here, I'm almost getting emotional because I don't have that relationship, right? He's still alive. Try to talk to him growing up, and it's hard for us to talk. It's hard for us to communicate. And most of the times, it kind of fuels me to be a better dad, right? But on the other side, I'm still a son. And I still want
You still want that,
father,
that
You
connection.
got that resentment a little.
but we don't. I still got the resentment, but I also feel, and this is where it's kind of fucked up. So to bring it to where you saying one of my fears is that, okay, so my dad ain't leave me. My mom left my dad. He was paying all the bills. He wasn't cheating. She was just bored. She told me, she was like, yo, he just was getting high all the time. He would be sitting on the couch, wasn't paying attention to me as much anymore. It was a 5-minute bam bam thing in the morning. Then he'd go to work, come home, get high, sit on the couch. Most of my life, I just found this out last year, maybe 2 years ago.
Damn.
Most of my life, I resented him.
So
thinking
let
that
me
he
ask.
left.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So all your life you thought he just
Most
picked
of
up
my-
and left.
So he used to come to my grandmother's house where she moved to and would sit outside for hours, and they would like chase him away. He loved his wife. He crying. My grandfather was rough, so he chased him away. He never got a girl after that for years. I didn't know most of that, right? And so it's crazy that I know now, but I can't talk to him. There's a talk that we should probably have,
Yeah.
but I can't.
What's
So when we
stopping you
talk
from
about
having that conversation?
Because it's the resentment that was there for all of that time.
But
It's
now you know. You only harbor resentment when you don't know. Like when you have these ideas in your mind that aren't really put together, but you just have an idea.
I feel like, to be honest, I feel like his defense is up. I feel like he's gotten, when your emotions is taking he built that wall, and that wall is between
you
us
also
as
a
well.
grown man now too. So it's a
Yeah,
little
so
bit,
now
he's not
I'm trying to
talking
talk
a
to
little
you,
boy.
and you kind of giving me that standoffish energy, and I'm like,
Does he know you know?
nah.
See, I was just about to ask you that. I was about to ask you that. Do you feel like he harbors resentment towards you?
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
towards me.
You think maybe you would have found this out earlier than like now it would have made it better, or you think it wouldn't have mattered? Like
I think
I
he's
said, like 10
always
years
felt
sooner.
like y'all left me, and you took your mother's side,
You had no control over
How
that,
many
though.
siblings you got?
and but he's giving me that energy. No, I'm the only child.
Only child.
So he's giving me that, and it's kind of like I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know why you kind of just kept me at arm's length. But my dad's a simple man. He's not complex like that, right? I'm complex. I'm super complex. And I realize that he's a simple man. As you get older, you're able to examine people. You see your parents as people. right? So I think he's a simple man. He don't, he's a postal worker. He just want his simple things. He fishes. He does. That's it. He don't try to podcast every week. You know what I mean? Right. Just to be clear, one of my fears is that I let him leave before I repair it.
That means still time to repair it. Still time.
You got. Listen, I just got an idea. You know what he likes. You know he's a simple man. Go out fishing. You in the middle of the water. It's really nothing to do but to sit there and talk. And I never fished a day in my life, but I know ain't shit to do but sit there and wait till you catch a fish and talk. You in the middle of the water.
Even to ride back, coming back.
Because you don't have to even go far. Sorry, you don't have to even go there in the sense of trying to have that conversation. You could just be going to fish.
It might just come out naturally.
Yeah.
I think it's, I've been feeling this way my whole life, and it's hard for me to willfully approach this with a man. It's just very.
But now
difficult.
there's a plot twist. It's different. Like a year ago, it's not the same as now.
Yo, so my mom's told me that I went downstars and I was like.
Blew your mind, like what the fuck?
So I can say this, right? So
names, I called them.
like this guy, fucking damn, why you ain't?
You got me over here bucking all these years.
So you say,
you was fucking bored. That was it.
And then she started. I remember when she left, she became a party girl. She was just out there.
Just wanted to have fun.
Yeah, so all that shit playing back, like damn.
I remember because I remember her sisters. I remember my aunt beat her up one night. One day we were supposed to go to church, and my mom's hadn't woke up to go to church. Because she was out partying all night. And my aunt was driving home from the church. Tight as fucking and I'm in the back. I
don't know what's going on.
Rolls or whatever. I got my little, $2 tie. And this and the other. My aunt runs in the house. And next thing you hear, later on, my mom comes down with like this big ass knot on her head. She's like, I love you so much. And this, that, and the other. She never went partying again.
That's what you probably
she
needed.
went through a
She
phase
got the party beat out of her.
Dad, she just needed to go.
So, what you said before, right? Just now, you said your biggest fear is not having at least having that conversation before he goes, right? So,
I'm still resenting him. I think.
I know, you definitely do, right? But I can say, like, I never resent my father, right? But now as a dad, certain things I want to ask him, I can't because he's not here no more, right? And there was no ill feeling ever in effect. So even just me wanting to just talk to him about just grown man shit, about being a dad, certain situations, being with a lady and all that kind of stuff and whatnot, I can't ask him that. And it hurts because I know he's not here, right? So what I ask you is do you feel like you'll be hurt more if you just don't ever have that conversation? Because now it'll be permanently that you can't. So
Absolutely.
Now, is that fear worse than now?
But you also got to realize that, remember when I asked him, some people want to be like that, some people don't. He's been my don't for a long time. Even till now. Like, there's
also you don't know either.
Yeah.
I mean, to a point, but...
Because I just now...
I
finding
fought
stuff
two
out.
baby mothers. Like, I remember when my daughter was 13, I fought for my daughter to live with me. And I was still trying to figure life out. You know what I mean? But I said to her, I was like, listen, you've had 13 years. I got 5 left before she's gone. Let me do this. You live down the block. She can come over. Let me do this. Let me wake up to my kid. You know what I mean? I don't have much else. I'm not in the street no more. I'm not that type of nigga no more. Let me, you know what I mean? I fought for that. And this was at 13 years old. My dad gave up at 6.
But you got.
But he was still bitter for mad long.
But in his situation,
did he give up, or because you said that he was coming by trying to see you, he was getting ran off?
That was before that.
It was earlier than that.
So what I'm thinking, just by hearing the story, I don't think he was able to take care of you. So I think he felt like he was better off with your mother.
No, he did. He had his own crib. My dad had his own crib.
But from what you're telling me about him, he would come home, smoke, chill.
Yeah,
like,
he wasn't that.
He still wouldn't be as interesting.
Right.
He wasn't the. He know leaving you with your mother,
that.
you're gonna eat. Yeah. You're gonna be, gonna have. He might be able to buy you clothing and all that.
No,
but he probably felt like deep down inside, you'll live a better life. You understand?
I think that he knew he couldn't take care of no kids.
Yeah, he couldn't. He knew like even part of him wanted to be around, but he probably knew deep down inside, I can't do this shit.
And he didn't have any other children after.
You
that,
know
right?
that you wanted to take care of your daughter. You know that. Like, and it's fathers out there that have probably stopped. Like, probably would have just
Facts. All
She's
facts.
13 now, had been there for 13
Like
years. Fuck
shit.
it.
So
Yeah,
what- hold
fuck
on,
it.
but-
She ain't missing out on nothing. I was going for 13 years.
So twist on that question, right? He might have known that in the moment, right? Because he didn't have to. Because your mom, when y'all together, his mother was there. But now, if he's the situation where he has you, like you can't not feed your kid.
That's what I'm saying.
Like you can't not. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
not
So
excuse.
granted, you might not like some people don't have that instinctual
Nigga,
nurturing
my
thing,
dad
but you're gonna have to
pulled up.
learn.
I'm gonna tell you, my dad pulled up married.
Oh,
Remember I said I wanted to go.
It's random.
I never met this woman before. Like you gotta imagine me wanting to be at my dad's wedding.
And he went
I
and
go
found
see
somebody
the
else to spend
pictures.
his life
You got
with.
pictures,
Oh,
and
we
you
wasn't
you
invited.
I didn't even invited my nigga. Like you just married,
But
and you're like
around
come,
the age where
come
you
with me to me and my wife's crib. I'm like,
like, what? Huh?
How old were you when you got married?
Yeah.
I might have been 11, 10.
But like they
something
like
like that.
did that have to do with
Maybe
your mom?
8, 9.
Maybe your mom probably told your mother. Your mom just probably didn't tell you
I
like
don't
go.
know.
You
or-
see what I'm saying? You gotta
I'm
dig
not-
deeper.
Yeah,
You gotta,
it might
yeah,
be.
yeah,
your
yeah,
mom, she probably
got
told you.
questions.
He probably told
you
you,
might-
mom, I want my son at my wedding,
mom like,
and
nah,
your mom
fuck
was like,
it.
nah,
Yeah,
fuck
fuck you.
that. He ain't
Yeah.
gonna meet your wedding. He ain't gonna see you marry no other bitch. You feel me?
I can see that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why
That conversation gotta happen, bro.
That conversation.
That
Y'all gotta
conversation
get yourself
gotta
a
happen.
black table and have a black table talk.
Yeah, black
You
table.
obviously
table talk.
are interested because for you to even know his interests and what he's doing, you saying he's a simple man. You got certain type of aspects about him that you know
Yeah,
about
man.
him.
It's difficult.
But it's difficult, but it ain't impossible. It's not you know being hard is not something that
You know
can't
what it
be done.
is? I've never made at a certain point in life. There was never no excuses for me in being a dad. I'm jumping over buildings. I'm knocking down walls. Whatever I gotta do to be a father to my kids is done. Everything else is secondary. Breathing is secondary. I'm gonna be my kid's dad.
That's dope.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's how it
I
should
made
be.
those choices, and it became like your heart beats blood. My heart beats fatherhood. Like I don't care about nothing else. Everything else, whatever this is, whatever all of this is, fatherhood comes first.
That's 100% fact.
And the fact that
He was
I
not
didn't
like
get
that. Yeah.
it's just I resent. So you asking me to have a certain conversation that I might not want the answers to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm scared that the answers that you give, because I still do kind of still got some type of respect, love for you. But the way you handled me made me handle them this way. And if you give me any other reason to disrespect you, I'll fuck around and never talk to you again.
Right.
So it's kind of like scary.
You almost
scary
cool.
to have that convo.
You more cool with what it is than what it could be.
I don't want it to be, bro. I want to understand it. I want to have that, but I'm scared of the answers or the rationale being something that I can't fuck with.
But would
I
you
think
look at it-
honestly, sorry to cut you off. Honestly, I feel like having that conversation with him will make you 10 times better of a father than you are right now. Imagine you being 10 times. You're already a great father from, the what 30, 40 minutes we had this conversation. I mean, from
Y'all didn't hear me
Yeah.
in the hallway with my kids?
Yeah. I can hear the passion. Like you
definitely,
know,
I hear it. And I feel like imagine that 10 times harder by just
getting out with him, getting that resentment out.
getting it out.
Then you just
It's funny because y'all talking about being dads, but we all sons too.
We
Right?
are.
We
Yeah.
all sons too, and I understand that what you said about you not having your dad and wishing that you could have certain conversations and shit. And I'm watching him get older. We might not talk for a year, bro. We might not talk for a minute. And one day I'll just call, and he'll be like, "Oh, you called me." And I'm like, "My nigga, you haven't called me in a year.
Right.
I'm just, you don't care. You got grandkids,
'Cause-
you ain't, you don't."
Because
you know what I mean? So it's shit like that. That's
we
like, yo,
certainly, we take time for granted because we're not watching the clock. But I mentioned like, Jackson's gonna be a year old, and it happened like that,
Like
and
that.
through like the worst time in our lives, like through a pandemic, through all of this shit. This nigga made it. The nigga about to be one and turn the fuck up. And I'm like, how fast that year went by. So you gotta think like, how fast, like, because
time flies.
understandably, like, you and him haven't spoken in a year, right? Look how quick that year went by.
It could turn
He probably like,
5 years before you
it's
know
been a
it.
year? No, it hasn't. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. And look at the last call. Like, it has been. And people take time for granted and don't realize, like, you gotta be in the moment. And whether or not you do or don't have the conversation with him, at least you're cognizant of the fact that, like, at the end of the day, even if I don't, I know that what I didn't get from him, I'm gonna make sure my children have from me.
I'm still missing a piece of it, and I
feel told you 10 times. You get that piece,
but that's how I feel. Bring it back to me. Like growing up, I didn't have a dad. My pops passed away when my biological father passed away. Like I was like 3rd, 4th grade probably. But I literally legit have no memory. Like my pops hanging on the park and chill. I know let's go out the park. He's sitting in the car playing cards, dominoes, or whatever.
That's what I'm talking about.
And like, but like, I don't have no memory. I don't know. I remember probably him. I was little. He driving. I'm on his lap trying to drive. That's the only thing. I don't got that much. Then my brother father, he was basically more of a father figure than my biological father was. So, but he passed away also when I was like in 7th grade. So like 7, I was like 7th grade. So like I ain't like, but I tell mad to that man. He did his thing. He did what he had to do. But ever since after that, like I didn't have no father figure really. I didn't really. I had a few. The next father figure I had was like a dude I started working with. I was like 18, 19 at that time, but it was like an older dude. And like it was just weird because it was funny because he had 3 girls and he wanted a son. And like when we kind of connected on some shit like that, like he was like, cause we worked together in the supermarket and all that. We was getting busy. Then he always looked out. Like he looked like he done stuff that people wouldn't do. Like he was always like, yo man, you young man, you on the right track. I want to see you do good, make bread. So he was a manager. So he every summer he used to take off every summer. And how the company worked, if he took off, they make me manager. So I get paid what he get paid. So sometimes he with the family chilling. I'm getting paid shit. I'm right out of high school, so I'm getting paid like probably $1,000 a week plus.
Fire.
So and he used to do that. He's like, yo, you want extra bread? Let me know. I take vacation. He been in like 17, 18 years. He had 700 hours. He could just do whatever he wants. So he's look out. Like to me, I was like, damn, that's love. Like people ain't gonna just do that. He like you know. So we to this day,
nobody ever do no shit.
Yeah.
Like
So
that.
like today, to this day, we still like he actually gave me my first car ever. Yeah. He gave me he had a Lexus, a 98 Lexus, 2-tone green, gray bottom.
Son.
Yeah, and it's funny, he wanted to give it to me for free. Cause he had another car. His wife was like, nah. You got it. Car was sitting there for like 2 years, nobody was driving. He's like, yeah, you gotta charge them some. Yeah. Some we put a brand new battery, all this, nah.
It's always the women, bro.
Yeah, so
women,
but it worked out. He gave it to me like a little $700. Cool. I was like,
that's
cool.
good for the first car.
It was perfect. I was like, all right, cool, boom. So like I respect that man. Like we like it's like over the last few years we kind of got in touch, but we speak frequently throughout the years. But like that was the most father figure that as I got older I had. So like me becoming a dad now, my feel is always like I need to be here. Cause certain stuff that I didn't experience, I want my kid to experience. You know what I'm saying? Like I never been to Disney World. I never been to none of these parks. And back in the days, my mom would take us to ride Playland and shit. But that's my mom. Like my mom did her thing. That was my mom though. It's different when you do something with your dad. That's you know crazy. What I'm saying? It's a whole different feeling. You know, like you know, it's best if you have both. You know, you can't. You know what I'm saying? But like. So now I feel like I owe it to myself to be active in my son's life to make sure that
because you're original or because of your surrogate, the other guy.
Nah, I think just overall because I feel like throughout the years it been like gaps where I felt times I needed like a father to be there, I didn't have it. You know, and it was certain things like I was playing ball in high school and shit. I never had nobody there. Like it been times where I see my friends go on family vacations. Like I never
crazy.
like to be honest, I never been to family vacation. Like my mom always traveled. Like, but I get my mom. My mom had her own thing going on. She was in out of jail at a point, and as I got older, I understood why things couldn't be like that. The most we probably did, my other families like family reunion a few times a year. But now as I get older, I'm watching my friends, other people going on family vacations once a year. I'm like, damn, that shit look kind of fun. Like, I want to
that family feeling. Right?
Yeah. I'm like, yo. Then I got friends where I go over to their house and I see how everything family. I'm like, damn, it just as you get older, that shit play a toll on you and like it be like, Like damn,
been
did I miss out on my childhood kind of? But
been
like,
there.
oh,
See,
didn't I?
I didn't have any of that either, but it's not because, you know, my mom and dad wasn't there. It's just they were so focused on making sure we had somewhere to sleep, something to eat that
They weren't
All
trying
that
to
shit
deprive
was
you.
no.
It's just
I'm
what
saying
it
I
was.
get it. I understand like the parents, the mother, whoever doing their thing and making sure I'm straight. But still, I just wanted that. I see other people doing it. I want that.
But,
It's just,
what I'm saying is, for me, that doesn't motivate me. Or like, for example, relationships. I don't look at other people's relationship as relationship goals because my relationship should be my only goal. You understand? I'm here to make sure my relationship is as perfect as I want it to be.
But see, you got to understand how your parents still might have filled you up some way that did enough for you. And him and me were lacking in something that we just wasn't getting, that you might not even realize as a kid you might have needed, but you were getting it somehow by having yours, right? Him and I was looking out the window at the other kids play.
But see,
regardless of whether...
I was looking out the window too because, like I said, my parents were never home. Like both of them, they were at work. But I didn't look at other families like, damn, I wish I had that type of life because I knew one day.
it's more of a like I want to experience that. Like I want to have that, but let me.
I did
wasn't
too.
envious
I did
of it.
I did too.
Yeah,
Just wanted it.
I did too. But then I don't know how old I was, but I sat down and just said to myself, I'm gonna give myself that one day. So I don't need to sit out there and envy somebody. I'm born in a Haitian household. Most Haitian parents are strict. I couldn't go outside. I couldn't even look out the window.
I just be outside a lot.
I'm not supposed to
y'all
be
can
in the
look out
house
the
by
window. Right,
I'm
yeah,
not
that's a
supposed to
fact.
be in the house by myself. Me and my brother, we were so young in the house by ourselves. We can't go to the window because if we get caught and then now our parents' ACS case, we gotta stay away from the window.
What are you doing in the window?
So I can't even look out the window.
You don't have the
So-
neighborhood watch checking in, all that kind of
so
stuff.
it was like
But I
instilled in me not to even, you know,
what I'm
step
hearing,
in those
what I'm
lanes.
hearing between Tahoe and Sai and you guys, right? So what they're saying is like there was not even an opportunity for it, point blank, period. And we understood, yeah, at least you still had a mother there, a father there, and when they came home at the end of the night, like you could have them both.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if they had opportunity, like, because when y'all live at, I mean, your parents' crib now is not where you grew up at. You know what I'm saying? So they elevated and they did something else or whatever. But for them, it didn't even have that opportunity.
No, I'm
or
not,
whatnot.
and I'm not knocking.
No, not
Yo,
knocking.
One take-
I just
It's
want
a
to
different
just show you
lens.
how we could compare ourselves.
It's something that you just can't
Yeah.
get. It's just when you feel empty in a sense, especially when comparing yourself to, and that's some people don't do it. Like you said, you might have felt that way, but you just said, yo, you know what? I'm gonna go get mine.
I'm gonna go get mine. That was me.
I feel like we said the same thing, but it's kind of as like a only entity against. Like when I would see my man Trom, right? I'll go to his house. And his moms and his pops would sit down and eat, and his brother, and they had a room upstairs, and he had the room over here, and they did family things, and I would kind of be like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
nah,
this is
that's a
great. But at the end of the day, I had to go back to
where you
my
was at.
experience,
Reality.
and my experience was vastly different, and it defined me. It kind of I became. I knew him as them and me as this, and there was a difference, and I was sad because of it. It was a lonelier existence, and it was something that if I didn't experience over there, I wouldn't even have understood. But once I did, and I went home to mine, there was a lonelier existence. You know what I'm saying? And that just is what it is. I don't know if it's what you said was jealousy or these.
I mean, but like I feel like being like, cause I grew up like my brothers be outside. Like we grew up in the project, so like everybody knew my mother. Cause my mother's the hustle, so like we was being out late. We didn't have to worry about nothing because everybody, all the drug dealers and gangsters, they they know who my mom was. So we could be out late, we good. So my mom say to this day, always she got eyes and ears. She got eyes and ears everywhere. No matter where I'm at in the world, that's what she always favors. Like I got eyes and ears everywhere. So like whatever you doing, you get in some trouble. I'm gonna know. I'm gonna find out as soon as it happen. So like more some like I was be out. Like I ain't gonna lie, I had freedom like a motherfucker. Like I could
Too much.
Yeah, I had a lot.
He's outside stealing niggas' bikes and shit.
Yeah, no, exactly. So with that much freedom that I had, Cause like my mother doing her thing to make sure that we had food on the table, food for had things like that, and it pushed me like in the hood to pick up on bad habits, to do not so things that I probably wouldn't have been doing. You know what I'm saying? But that's how people I was hanging around looked at all our situations. It was all kind of the same. That's why we was together. Like it was like we got
streets was my dad, bro.
we got know where to. That's why I done riding the flatbed, stealing bikes out backyards. It was like like I know I couldn't bring it back home. My mom like just like so it's like being that like the life that I lived growing up partly was like I was outside, like kind of could do whatever and like whatever. That kind of that's one, but it's like I'd be like, damn, like I see other friends besides people I hang around with that be like, they gotta come upstairs by a certain time. It's dinner ready. Gotta be upstairs by 8. You got this. Then it's the structure.
I knew there was a defined difference. I'm telling you, the streets became my dad, and I remember going somewhere with Trom, and Trom is a very well put together. I don't know if y'all listen to So Shameless. He's very well put together.
Episodes.
Back straight posture. He's. And I remember I was going to war. I knew I was going to war. One of my friends had come to my house earlier and said, yo, your homeboy, he around the corner, he got a gun. He got 2 people with him. And he said he gonna rob you when he see you. Me and Tron was in the house smoking. I knew I couldn't leave this man around the corner. Talk about he's gonna do something because niggas done told me. So whether you gonna come outside or you gonna stay in your house. Trom is like, yo, I'm gonna go with you.
Nah.
That's not for you.
I can't let your family down.
Yeah.
Like that. You go home, right? And he's like, nah. I'm like, this is my life. You got your life.
I already got the heads up already, so
I gotta go.
I gotta step now.
You gotta go home.
Yeah.
And I'll hit you later. You understand what I'm saying? There was a defined difference, and I wasn't no real like between me and him. There was no difference. We laugh, joke, play,
But you understood.
But you gotta go home. You have a family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I gotta go to the street. And that's how I identified myself. You know what I mean? Pardon me, I'm getting a little choked up. But
it's real though.
That is something that happened to me as a kid. I looked for the father, and the streets became my dad. That's where I learned everything. I didn't have no brother. My uncles was off doing whatever the hell they was doing. My mom was struggling. She just doing her fucking best. And shout out to my mom. I swear to God, she did an amazing job. Just keeping shit together. You know what I mean? But I still needed to find what this was about. This, you know what I mean? Like what was expected of me in this world.
So having dealt with that and that's not some shit everybody else got to deal with. But now you got to link to the streets to be your dad and deal with all of those traumatic experiences or whatever, right? So as a father now, does that change your scope on how you want to protect your children, knowing what's really out there?
Yes, and listen, the streets is outside. They outside, but you got to walk outside. And I know one thing is, them group home chicks, they wanted to be outside. The more they try to keep them inside,
The more they want to be outside.
the more they was creeping out the window, hopping the fence. They was coming to the trap, and they was doing whatever they was doing with 6, 7, 8 niggas. Whoever's there, they doing it. So I communicate with my child, especially my daughter, right? It's so funny. My homeboy said when I first had my daughter, like I said, she's my oldest. I was wild at the time. Gunshots, stab wounds, all kind of shit. He said, I'm so glad you had a daughter. He said, because if you had a son, you'd be worse. The daughter gonna soften you up. I'm so glad you had a daughter first. And he's right, because once I started walking with her in my hand, and she, daddy, and there's a thing, right, where she got her dress and you hold her dress down in the back when you're holding her, and you start thinking about protecting, and there's just a different thing with your daughter. And me being as tough as I was, I would talk to her like she's my boy, or like she's like, right? But we formed this bond where she could talk to me about anything. So to answer your question, I didn't hide the street from her. I showed her it for what it was.
Yeah.
I walked her through certain projects and had her sitting there with the steady up, and I'd be like, you see that? Don't never be like that. You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to not know the difference between that and that, right? I would talk to her while we eating our chopped cheese or beef patties and that and the other. And I wouldn't be out there all night, but I would give her enough
to
game
get it.
and walk through it. And I did that all the way through the next couple years for me coming home. And I came home when she was about 6. So me and her mom had a tumultuous relationship, but she knew what she was going to get when she was with me, and she looked forward to that. Because I wouldn't just put her in the room like my dad would do when I would go, you know, back then, he would get me and he would put me in a room, and I wouldn't see him until it was time to go home.
Right.
Right? I would play with his wife's kids or whatever, right? I wouldn't see him. And I always knew not to do that. That was an example. Like, don't do that with your kids, you know what I mean? So I would take her out and walk her down the block and show her certain things. And it really, my daughter is like the dopest. She's got to be one of my best friends. I hate to say it, but I'll go in her room.
When they get to that age, then it's like it's all right. Because me at 14, like I distinguish with my daughter, like we cool, but I'm your father. Like I'm not your friend. So you like certain things, but just like what you were saying, right? So certain ways we talk about on the show, like when we outside, making sure like she understands certain things. Niggas are gonna say this, they gonna do this, they gonna try you like this. Because if you've never been outside and you don't know nothing, and now you're 18, you're outside, you free game. And then now I'm gonna end up fucking in prison because now like what the fuck I'm gonna do? But it's very important. Like I take a look at and those that's another like fear and concern of mine, right? Like making sure that she's ready for the world. So like even times where like, you know, like in 8th grade, she would walk to school by herself like 5 blocks. But in like middle school. But then she got to like 7th, 8th grade, she used to go to like Crown Heights area or whatever, take the bus. But constantly, you know, once in a while, especially like my job, like pop in the daytime, pop up, she won't see. Just making sure like she's cognizant of certain shit. Because at the end of the day, niggas is gonna be niggas. You know what I'm saying? But not only that, shorties are gonna be shorties too. Like you don't get betrayed by your friends. I mean, you can only be betrayed by your friends. You don't get betrayed by your enemies. So you know, a lot of times you don't see the backstabbing coming. You don't see the cattiness coming because it's coming from the inside or whatever. So I make a very conscious effort to me and my lady, make sure that she knows the real. So if she does wrong, it's not just yelling and chastising. She runs outside and want to go free, but just being very honest and open. Like, yo, like this is what really outside
You
is
seem
like.
strict though.
Nah, but you know what's funny? Me and her
very strict.
I'm really not though, because like only 2 rules in my crib that I put down for my daughter is, yo, you gotta do your schoolwork and you gotta be respectful. After that, you can have whatever you want. You can do whatever the case may be in the house or whatever the case may be.
So you said whatever so she respectful. She respectful and
you know what
don't go to school. No, so she can have a boyfriend.
Nah.
I mean, listen. I'm gonna tell you now. Newsflash: you cannot stop her from having a boyfriend.
I'm not.
So
listen.
He's not ready for that.
No. He's not ready. Listen. Honestly,
are you ready? Are you ready?
Listen, we say it because of the show, but you know what it is. I understand her level of maturity and how she is and how she moves now. So even if she had like a little boyfriend or whatever the case may be, I wouldn't be mad at it. It would just have to be like we would have to be more vigilant and like watch it. You know what I'm saying?
More transparent,
right? Like
you would like her to be a little bit more open.
Like I want her to be able to always come and ask me a question or be able to talk to me about whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Even my older sister who's married or whatever the case may be. Before she got married, I told her the guy she married. I said, "Yo, bro, that's y'all relationship. I'm not gonna interfere. That's gonna be y'all business. But if you ever hurt or put hands on her, it's over. Like after that, I don't give a fuck. Y'all gonna have your words. You're gonna have your relationship qualms. It's any relationship. But you violate, it's a wrap. And I would do the same with my daughter. I let her understand, like, yo, listen, people are gonna talk to your way. They're gonna try you. But if you ever feel violated, I want you to be comfortable enough to come and talk to me. Don't think, yeah, I'm gonna go kill this little nigga, but we might get close. But understand, like, I want her to be able to come, and I don't, like you said, I don't want her to feel so closed off that she's sneaking out the window or she gotta lie where she's at or I gotta be tracking her phone. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, kids are gonna do what they want to do. We've all been outside. We all know what it is. But if you have that sort of relationship with your parent, you know what I'm saying? When you get to that crossroad where it's like the right thing to do, the wrong thing to do, more often than not, you're gonna do the right thing. Because you understand, like, you have that relationship with your parents and you respect them and you respect yourself enough. But I do fear that, sometimes you're going to make the wrong decision. Yeah. But I want you to be able to come and tell me, like, yo, I did this, I fucked up, or whatever the case may be.
You know what's crazy? I'm sitting here thinking about just your situation with you and your dad. And, like, my biological father, who I never met, don't even know, I don't even think I would even have a conversation with him. Because he left me when I was 2 months. So I don't.
Nothing to talk about.
There's nothing. There's really nothing. to
He ain't
talk
never come back.
Yeah,
Just
see.
don't even know what you're talking about.
Cause I'm saying, telling you to have a conversation with him, but I don't think I could ever. Like, there's really nothing to speak about. But I feel like that's
That's
two
a
different
situation.
situations.
That's
So I feel like you definitely need to have that
Yeah,
conversation.
You know what's so funny too is like it's hard for me to even say because like my mother, my father, they still together. I have access to my father whenever I want. But I also came to that agreement. I'm like, fuck it, that's where I'm at with it. Like, you know, my main thing is like with my father is I can't even fathom why he is that way in a sense. What bothers me is that I ain't a fucked up person. I've been pretty successful. I put my effort to what I was able to do. Like I ain't been locked up. I ain't
Hit the mic.
Oh, go ahead.
They can hear that mic when you hit that mic.
Oh yeah, I ain't been locked up. I ain't do no funny shit, whatever like that. So it's just like I should been a son of yours to be proud of. So there's no reason why you ain't in a certain place with me. You know what I mean? So I started trying to wrap my head around that with him. It's like I said, I have full access to him. I could go to the house, I could talk to him, whatever. But I'm almost to the point where it's like it's almost your loss at this point now. So whatever energy that I have, I put that into my son. So you when you guys talking about how you are with your kids is because of your father. I see my sons, especially my younger one. I see me in him.
Yo, you living
So,
in the game. Go
yeah.
ahead, talk it.
So when I'm doing it, I'm like, yo, that's me. Like, I'm changing almost in the sense like when you watch a movie, I'm taking that image of my father was with me. I'm just taking that out the picture. I'm putting myself there. So I'm like with my son is just like I try to be as much communication I can, much as reassurance because you know what it is with me now as a grown man. It's shit that my mom is great. My mom showed me love. My mom is a great woman. But then there's a certain thing that a father you can't get that from besides a man. It's like, and then when you talk about fear, my biggest fear was, which I already faced, was a situation you're not growing up and not being able to raise my kids in the same household. I'm not with their mother no more, so it is what it is. But then there's almost like shit changed. Like somebody said to me before, it's like you can have a goal in mind, but you gotta know what life is. Sometimes that shit changes.
I said that
So
to
then,
you too.
no, you didn't. So then sometimes that shit changes. So you can't be stuck on what couldn't be done no more. You gotta figure out how you're gonna. What's the next move? Like, all right, cool. The goal is right here. You got to make a right turn. Now the right turn is blocked. You got to find another way around it. You can't be stuck on that right turn and sitting there waiting. So then what happens with me now? I just try to be the best father I can be. And then I say it maybe look ugly. My situation might not be the most prettiest. I'm not in the fairy tale situation and so forth. But I damn sure know I put the best effort as far as being a father. There's one thing my son can't say is what I felt as a man now. Or even as a boy that my father was.
You didn't get that from your dad.
Yeah, because it's funny. Like me as a grown man, there's certain shit I get pissed off. I ain't gonna lie, I get pissed off to this day. There's certain things that I should have known this already. I shouldn't be learning this right now at my age. My father should have been telling me that. Like shit that I might learn, shit that career wise. Same way with certain emotional things, certain with women. My father should have schooled me on that. I shouldn't have to be going through that shit.
See, like my father didn't teach me none of that either, but I don't have any resentment towards him because like you just gotta understand people. You understand?
No,
and I'm not trying to take up for your father.
No, but
'cause
my
I wasn't
issue
there.
is that when I could start understanding, if I could start understanding, I'm just as bad as the person doing it. If I could start understanding why a man is being a deadbeat, then I'm just as bad as a deadbeat. That's the way I live my life.
No,
But-
people, everyone is different. You can't expect everyone to be just like you. You
No,
can't.
but the
You
thing
can't. You can't hold everyone as this with the same standards that you hold yourself.
You're right.
Your father.
But he's my father.
Yeah,
so I
but
have to
he's-
hold him to some type of standard.
Listen, you don't know his story, so you don't know what his father was like before him.
No,
You don't know how he was treated as a son.
But the funny part is that my father would lovely say that his father's a great man.
And that's probably he's probably just hiding something that's really deep down.
But that's on him to hide that. That's not on me.
It is.
Because if
So-
I'm sitting here and saying that my father's a certain kind of way, I have no problem to have that conversation with my child down the line. Because what justice is it doing for my son to say, this is what it could have been, and this is what it is? I'm not perfect. I know I ain't perfect, but I'm perfectly imperfect. It doesn't bother me being... There's no book written on being a father. All I know is having effort, you can't go wrong. Like you kind of said, it's just like all those years. Like I go a whole year, you ain't talk to my pop. Yo, my son's not gonna not hear from me more than a couple of days, more than a week, if even. I hear from me every single day, even if it's a simple phone call. They don't live with me, but even if it's a simple phone call, I grew up in the house with the guy. So it's not a situation where it's like I could understand, but I don't, because I'm in a worse situation than you, and I made the best of the situation.
And I get that, but like I said, I'm the type of person, I don't like to harbor no resentment. I don't like to walk around just angry. Like there's no reason for that. Like I can't let someone else
6'9" though.
I just can't. Me, just in general, relationships and like any shit, I can't let no one change my emotion, because it's my emotions, it's my feelings. I can't let you get me angry.
But then the way I am is my emotion, because I ain't learn nothing else.
Yeah, but like, and this is speaking for myself. I'm letting you know how I am. Well, I just feel like you just can't walk around with resentment. You just can't walk around angry. And I'm not saying that you're angry, but I just feel like it's always a deeper issue. There's always something, and maybe it's because I'm into psychology and all that, but there's always an underlying issue. There's a reason why your father is and was the way he is. And until you bring it to the light and let him know and understand, like, yo, this is fucked up what you did to me all these years, and this is why I'm this way, he'll never know. He's gonna walk around like it's okay. Like he probably think he has the greatest relationship with you. In his mind, he's probably the best father in the world.
Truthfully,
but deep down inside, you might feel like he wasn't shit.
Because kind of what we talked about, right? To kind of sum it all up, right? So a lot of folks have this thing in their mind where it's like the stereotype of how they are and what we've been conditioned to be. Like, long as you had food on the table, you had clothes in your back, you had lights. Like, nigga, I did my job.
Yeah,
I did my job. Everything else that you asking for, you being greedy.
That was that time. Like,
No. But what you gotta hold on. What you gotta understand that like history repeats itself. So that's that time for them, right? And us now in this space is changing that narrative. Like, yo, it's more than that.
Yeah.
But up until a couple of years ago, it's always been just that. You know what I'm saying? So, like Steve said, like, it's not about saying that I want my expectations of what I am now to be put back in the past. It's just that understand, like, yo, like, you know what? This person is who the fuck they are, and that could be what it is. It's not to say that you guys, what you feel is not real. It's just now we're openly talking about the way that people are and saying that, yo, what you were doing is not okay. Even if you know back then that that's just the way it was, I'm letting you know that it's not.
Your father is just like my father. You understand? They're just hearing your story, they're the same. But as I got older, I just realized that in his mind, he had a mission. His mission was to make sure we was fed, make sure we had clothes on the back. My mother, she took care of everything else.
I mean, the thing is, we're not going to disregard what it is. Because then even myself, I'm still the same way. I'm like that. That's that hard working thing, getting up, working, whatever, the whole same bullshit of every day that we all doing. We wake up in the morning, you working, trying to provide. I'm cool with that. But the thing is that there's more to it than what it is just that.
Because your mental is different. Back then, and I'm not making excuses, like I said, for your father.
But you also say back then, it's still today. The thing is, like...
let me tell you why there's a difference. They were making less. Everything was cheaper. They're still making what they're making back then, and everything is just getting more expensive.
No, but I hear what you're saying, but I'm still could say that right now. I'm like, my father, he's retired. He has grandchildren. I'm watching him act the same way with my children. Yeah. To the point where it's just like, so I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. And as my brother had his children, my father did soften up a little bit.
See what I'm saying?
He was really a hard ass, and then now it's like
there is a softening up there, but then it's just
more cookies.
Yeah, but stuff like that. But then the thing is that I'm one of them. I'm pretty. What somebody would call me? I'm pretty. There's no gray area with me. You see, you fucking with me or you not, in a sense. And the thing is that I'm so much of, I can't stand bullshit. Like, people are giving excuses and not enough reasons. So it's just like, I'm your child. You met my brothers. We all, for the most part, you see the episodes, they all doing their thing.
All 16 of them.
But then, to be honest with you, if it wasn't, I'll be honest, and I even shout to my brother, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be the better person I am, because I know the other side of it is from a male standpoint of men respecting other men doing his thing, in a sense. I'm supposed to get that from my father. I don't care what went on with you. I'll be real with you. As a father right now, I don't give a fuck.
You was a kid. So
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I really don't give a fuck. Any
You
dude
shouldn't.
out there and any man out there who's on that shit, yo, he's a kid. You see a little baby pop
Right.
out,
'Cause
you
kids didn't ask to be
automatically
here.
have that innocent with them. I don't give a fuck. Even a fucking killer will have that attitude. Even as rough as I am, when you see me with my boys, they boys. I don't have daughters, and they still steal my heart. So that shit, you can fly with that bullshit with me.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. My thing is that, yo, if you have children, you took on the responsibility of being there. It's like, you're gonna stay, take the fucking job. Yo, you gonna be there. You show some heart. You show some love. Like I said, my situation, my kids. I don't have my kids in front of me all the time. Guess what? It's a fucked up situation, but I made the fucking best of it. My father had me here. I'm there every day. He didn't make the best of the situation.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna sit there and dwell on his past. It's got nothing to do with me. I'm here now. Everything has to do with you now, with me. So whether you have a bad situation, your pops and so forth, we all have fucked up situations. You know, Saya speaks on his. You make the best. You found somebody that's not even your father who's willing to take on to you and have a heart with you. You have situations. You had a great situation. You had that situation. Yo, at the end of the day, all of this is giving a fuck.
Nah, but you think partly like your father or just in general males have a problem with dealing with shame? Don't want to admit to like they're wrong, in a sense. You know, like
I could say that, but then it's just like, that's for the streets. That ain't for your house. You know what I mean? Like, you know, trying to be wrong all the time. That's because you're trying to hide your true self outside the front door of your home. In the house, then you're supposed to be able to walk out around the house butt ass naked, in a sense.
I mean, but then with that being said, also some people stuck in their ways and just don't know how to express their feelings or what they want to get to.
I can agree with that. I'm stuck in certain ways about me.
Let me do this.
Yeah.
I got you this line. You could place it in your feelings.
I am complacent in my feelings. I'll be real, but that's my line. But I'm not saying that it's healthy either.
No,
and then that's why I say why I get so passionate about it, because I shouldn't have to be that way.
But that part, that alone, in general, like that's partly you. That's probably a lot of other people that just probably they don't want to. They just not feeling comfortable. Just don't want to have that conversation or do that, and it's because of that condition. Just as men growing up,
Your
like,
father sounds just like my father, but like as I got older, I seek that relationship. I could have been cold with him because he was cold for 16, 17
Right.
years.
But you sought out that relationship. But it is
As an older adult, you're not even gonna see. You're a kid to him no matter what.
No, I understand it. What
You
I'm
could
saying
be
is,
40 years old. You're still his kid. You're a
but
kid.
what I'm saying is, you as you got older, you were cognizant enough to seek out that relationship, right? It is the onus isn't on Styles to go seek it out. He can if he so choose, but the onus isn't on him to do so, especially if you have that.
But then I yearned that though, so it's not even a seeking. I wanted it. If it was even a
no, you wanted it back then. But what I'm saying is,
You
now
don't
as a
care for it
grown-ass
now,
man,
so you won't even-
understanding
But
it.
you know why I don't care for, like what Tahoe was saying, is like I got a kid now, so I don't have that energy now to put into him. You lost that opportunity. Why would I steal that opportunity from my son? That the opportunity he should have took from his son. So that's why I started living my opportunity with my child, because he's the most innocent being at this point right now. My boys is the most innocent being. I was that boy. So how did you stole that innocence from me? So then why would I steal that from my son while I'm trying to figure it out for myself? At this point now, as a father, I think we all agree, fuck me at this point right now. I got kids. I got to take care of y'all. So at the end of the day, I'm cool with wearing, I made a joke. I've been wearing armor for so long, I thought it was a shirt. I had to cover myself. That's for my kids at the same time. I cover myself so my kids could be walking around free. Walking around with an armor all your life is heavy.
What do you think the effect of having what some may seem as resentment in your heart? How do you think that affects love when you place that on your children? Because your children suck up energy, and your children are also suffer through what you don't have through their in that family structure. You don't have that with your dad, right? So now that does affect your kids.
For me, the one thing I always tell my kids I love them. My father never told me that. So at the end of the day, my level of love of my kids, I'm very conscious
Do you
of
ever
it.
think that there's a time when you stop learning?
No. I don't
So,
think there's a time. But there's a
you
time
can
that you
still
choose
learn.
to stop learning.
You could still learn that there's a little bit more that you could do. And I'm talking, when I'm listening to y'all, I'm thinking about myself. So I'm just sitting here like this, like, I really gotta call this man. Like, I don't want to
Set up a fishing trip. And I feel like with you gotta. You don't want to, but you got to.
Yeah, there's a level of still learning that maybe your dad could still do, and you could still affect his presence on this earth. If not only to you, then to your children, and bringing it back to you. This resentment that you may not even realize that you have. Imagine if that dissipates. Imagine how that affects the way you love. If you can get rid of that resentment, like it becomes a little bit less hard, or a little bit less.
You can only become a greater person than you already are.
I'm thinking this myself.
Tao having that conversation with his dad, he's gonna be 10 times a father, better father than he already is.
Right.
You having that conversation with your dad and making him build that bond with his grandkids that you yearned. Is gonna make you and him a better father.
Like, you guys can never be any like the level of dadding that you guys are at. It can never go down. At this point, you can only ever be up. But not necessarily that you need to be up more, because what you're doing is above and beyond. But just understand that the opportunity to potentially be better is available. Should you so choose?
You know what happened to me is that I gave up on that. So there's I wouldn't even say there's necessarily resentment. I don't give a fuck anymore. Because it's like my head is that it's your loss that you didn't take the opportunity to who I am.
But it's also your kid's loss. Because like I said, like seeing my father right now with my son is like nothing compared to what it was like with me. And seeing him with my niece and nephew.
My kids is with. My situation is my kids is always with my mom and whatever. It's not like a situation they don't see their grandfather. It's not a situation I keep my kids away from. He's there, but I don't see no difference either.
Like, but he'll be more conscious once you tell him.
It's just he, like quite honestly, like he just probably really just doesn't know, or he doesn't know any different. He's just how I am. Like Steve said, in his mind, he might call one of his homeboys and be like, "Yeah, yo, I saw my grandkids today. That was great."
But that's the reason why.
I gave him $1. He was so happy.
I told him. I stopped. I showed him a picture of Chris when he was little. Hey, look this.
That's the reason why. Like honestly, I just gave up. Like I literally gave up. I mean, like I said, don't get it twisted too. I be open. There's other things that it affected me. I personally don't feel it affected me in my ways with my children. But it might have affected me in other ways as far as relationship-wise. It might have affected me in other situations.
Think about it, right? So think about, it could be that one relationship that you now, like, you have a conversation with your father. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, and different. As long as you were able to get whatever is inside out of you.
I got that out already.
Right. But
to him.
I did that too.
So you had the conversation with him.
I had a conversation.
You left that part out.
I mean, but
the big part.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really the big part. The conversation's already done happen. That's why I said I given up. So the time it was for me, like I said, where I go back is like the time where I take that energy of even trying to establish that with somebody. I can be sure that I don't do that with my child.
Well, at least we can say. I mean, like you said, we didn't until just 10 seconds ago. We didn't have information that you had that conversation.
Wasted 10 minutes of my life just now.
No. It's not though. You know why? Because this is the reason why. I know, but the reason why I say that, right, bro? So for everybody who's listening and watching, right? It might not be a situation. Excuse me. It might not be a situation with a parent or your children, but it could be a relationship with somebody who you just had a friendship with, or whatever the case may be, right? But when you harbor those things, like Tahoe was saying, right? Like you don't know time. You don't know time. And if you even have the inkling in your mind, like, I should probably holler at this motherfucker, yo. Like, there's some people I know who's beefing over like $10 from like 10 years ago on some dumb shit. I'm like, yo, $10. We spend $10 frivolously, like nothing. But it's the principle of the matter, which I understand, right? So you got to think in your mind, like, if God forbid something happens and that person is completely gone, you now will never. No matter what you do, until your time comes, you'll never even have that conversation with that person. Ever again. You're never gonna get that again. So,
like that situation with my pops is like that closure. The closure is there. Like I'm not even in the situation. Like I said, I see my pops. Like I said, I'll talk to him. I you know what it is. I made it a certain type of relationship that I could live with. in a sense. I don't like it, but it is what it is. But it's not one of them scenarios like how I say like you, like where you don't want to even have that conversation. I had the conversation. I just realized you ain't changing.
Yeah.
And
Some,
it is what
I ain't
it
gonna
is.
front, I'm gonna let you know that I ain't probably knows already. Haitian men get stuck in their ways. You
Yeah,
can't,
man.
bro.
Yeah, so
You can't
do.
tell them niggas
And
nothing.
You know
like-
what's so funny? You know what's so funny?
That is
I
a
feel,
fact.
You know what I feel like a lot of times, and it's almost without going too far. I think a lot of times with Haitian men, and it goes with like the old school Haitian women. The Haitian women entertain that shit a lot of times too, because you could be on some dumb shit, whatever like that. It's like, oh, you know, that's your father. You know, you gotta do this and that. I'm like, and then he's like, yeah, listen to her. So it carries on.
Right.
It's the same scenario.
You heard it.
Now
Yeah, so you
adult sitting there looking at your mother like, you doing this bullshit.
disregarding the situation now. Like, yo, this is little kid talking about. Like, yo, my wife just said it's all good.
Yeah, right.
But like all regardless, like they said, I get passionate about the situation only because of the fact that like I see my kids and then I make it a true thing to say like that's like I said I never got that from my father. And like I said, like when we talk about with the show, period is about trying to change the dialogue or the whole picture of what it is being men and being so harsh. I love my kids know I love them. Even today, like my son recently graduated from school, and I'm like, yo, I'm sitting here, I'm like, yo, I'm
Shout
proud
out
of
to
you.
Christian
Yeah,
graduating,
shout out to
yo.
Christian.
Yeah, shout out to Christian.
He graduated, and I'm like, yo, I'm proud of you. I never got that. I done graduated from college. I done did all this stuff. I've never got a proud for you. So those are the type of things that I wanted. And I know that ends up happening as a man is like you start thinking like you underachieving because you, again, remember I talked about the whole hero thing. If this dude ain't telling me he's proud of me, then yo, what's the next thing you're gonna do? What's the next thing you're gonna do?
And it might take time. It might not, because like I said, my pops is 10 times different than he was back then. The when I bought this house and we had them all over, he was upstairs crying. And I came up there and I'm like, yo, bro, what the fuck are you crying for? Yo, I'm so proud of you. I'm happy. I'm like, yeah, I never got that growing up. Like, even with all the.
But what you just said, right? So literally what you just said. So him being upstairs crying, right? So he might have been and had those moments when you were younger for all your additional achievements.
He was probably in the room crying.
Right, because it has not been okay for men to openly be like, yo, I love y'all. Like, I love y'all, man. Like, I tell my friends all the time, like, yo, I want what's best for my friends. I pray for my friend, the people that I fuck with on a regular, everyday basis. Because if they're winning, at the end of the day, everybody around us is winning. I will go to the end of the earth for my friends. It helped them achieve.
It's the earth.
The end of the earth,
Got a little farther for me, man. You got the malls.
Yo, listen, if I have the means of transportation, are we gonna build that motherfucker? And we gonna go to Mars, take that shit over too. But it's now that we're fostering and pushing out that, yo, like, it's all right to be like, yo, like, I fuck with my man. Like, I love
That's
my
what
man.
this is for.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
saying
So, however
that.
the conversation might
open
be or whatever the case
conversation.
may be, I want everybody at home to be able to take that and be like, yo, like, just a reflection, right? Listen, like if you have that conversation or you have that relationship with your parent or whatever the case may be, just think about it, because tomorrow is not promised at all. Like that's one thing that people take for granted is time,
Shit.
and there's
Cody
24
came out
hours
of
in that
nowhere.
day, but you are not promised another minute on this earth. So if you can do it now and have that conversation, even if it turns out the worst way imaginable, at least you know, and now you can continue to move on, and you can just let that off of your chest, let that off your shoulders. And you, as fathers, we are always as men, we are always conditioned as, yo, shut up, just get shit done. But our kids, they don't care about the bills, bro. They don't care about, like, you think about a
care in the
3-year-old,
world.
you want to go buy some Uptowns. He just wants Spider-Man stickers. He don't give a fuck about that
don't
shit.
care about
He just want to have
anything.
fun.
He just wanna
He don't care about
run around.
none of that shit. So we want to make sure that we let everybody at home know, like, yo, if you can have that conversation, if you've dealt with a situation or whatever the case may be, right? You can listen to this podcast and get some gems, right? You can seek maybe professional help, right? Just be able to just get that off of you, because keeping that energy inside you, one way or another, it's transferring outward. You might not see it and you might not get it, but in 10, 20, 30 years, your kid might have a way about them. You're like, where did that shit come from? You know what I'm saying? Or the relationship you might be in with your significant other, you might do something, you don't even know where that's coming from because you just never were conditioned or never allowed to speak on what it is you want to talk about.
You gotta heal. You gotta heal.
Gotta heal, man.
Don't
That's
walk
a
around
fact.
resentment.
Tahoe, bro.
Appreciate you
Appreciate
for
you
coming
pulling
out,
up,
bro.
man.
Pulling up, man.
Listen, find him
Yo,
on
make
So
sure,
Shameless,
check out here, Show Shameless podcast.
as well as Hard to Solve. Pause.
So Shameless.
So Shameless. When we pulling up the Show
Pause my
Shameless,
show. Bro.
we're not pausing the show. Bad habits, man. We're trying to break those habits. So we're gonna pull up on Show Shameless just now. You're gonna see we're gonna run
yeah,
through it
for
on that
sure,
pause.
man.
Also, too, just remember, everybody, listen, we're going to start the summer series just soon. We got a lot in store for you
Yeah, it's a
guys.
fact.
It's going to be a really, really great time. We're going to be turning up this summer. Everybody at home, be safe. Have a safe summer. Put the guns down, please.
Real.
Yo, we love y'all. Peace
Yo,
out.
peace.
Peace.
Dada. Dada. Dada.